Hi, folks. Daniel Swartz here. Just got some heavy thoughts today. Um, I really like to watch this guy on YouTube, and I like to watch his own videos, but I really love to watch a person be interviewed. Almost better than when I like it almost better than watching um, somebody's monologue. A monologue is good. It's great. You get to know a person. But I almost feel like you get to know a person better when you're being interviewed because um, the interviewer, if he's really good at his job, um, asks questions that the interviewed possibly wouldn't think to answer, but that someone else is really curious of. Anyway, um, they said something in there that I'm going to admit it made me cry. Um, it wasn't a broken crying, it was healing tears. Um, there's things that I did not experience as a young man, and I never will. That's gone. And the tears today were just, they were letting go what my heart still kind of yearns for, but knows it can never have. Um, what Dwayne said was, there's nothing sadder in the world of men than a 24-year-old man who's an old man already. Um, because he's had weights and burdens and responsibilities put on him that he never should have had. They weren't his, but they were put on him, and he became old before his time. And I felt that right in here. That was. I'm still feeling it. Um, I'm not want to cry and whine. That I've had that temptation, and I've done that as a younger man. But I don't think that's what this is today. I don't want to cry and whine about things that I went through, but I know this is happening to other young men, and we're all taught we're just supposed to be tough, 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 tough. Um, and then there's the other side that's all about getting in touch with your feelings, and you got nothing tough about you. And like everything, there needs to be a balance, but there's nothing wrong with a grown man crying. But there's something wrong with a whiny grown man, yes. Anyway, back to the subject. Um, a man who's old before his time. And I realized for my teenage years, I had to take on the responsibilities of an adult. Because the adults were not adulting. They were, barely. But I had responsibilities of an adult put on me. It wasn't only me. I should say me and my siblings. Um, but certain things fell more to certain people. And there were times when at 15 I have to adult for the whole family and take care of things that needed to be taken care of. Um, I'm not going to go into details. Just that the people who were supposed to be handling these things were not. And as a good-hearted and responsible young man, I stepped up to the plate when I had to. When I felt that I had to. but it wasn't my responsibility, but somebody had to do it because the persons whose responsibility it was, weren't doing it, weren't doing what they should have done. And when I did step up, they were more than happy to hang back and let me keep on doing it. And it made me mature really quickly. I used to be proud of that maturity. I couldn't stand to talk with most young men my age in my 20s. I could only talk well with people in their 40s and 50s and 70s and 60s. I could hold a great conversation with old people like that. I didn't have the energy to mess around with people my age. Doesn't mean I didn't do some messing around. I did do that. But overall, as a whole, I was not allowed to be a young man. I got to teenager stage and I was expected to be done and developed and grown up. And I was doing the job that others should have been doing, but I got criticized for not being. I got criticized and run down and mocked for not doing the job good enough by the people who should have been doing what I was doing. I was demeaned, and my efforts were never good enough. And no shit, I was young. And so I was just healing to hear that. You know, what I used to be proud of, I'm not proud of it anymore. I'm sad for the young man, and I mourn the young man that I wasn't allowed to be. Thank you, Dwayne. I really need to hear that. The things a person hears in his life and that are good for him and for his healing and for development and growth are often uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to allow yourself to. I could have just heard that and brushed it off, which I do sometimes because I don't want to deal with the pain that comes with the self reflection. But man, you often got to go through some pain and some extremely uncomfortable things before you grow, before you develop and become better and move on into the next stage of your life. Just wanted to share that little bit of that. If you're a young man out there, I feel you, my friend. And if you weren't allowed to have a childhood or be young, um, it, it's a temptation to stay bitter at the people who put you in that situation, or just be bitter at the situation, or be bitter about the past and bitter about the things that you didn't experience. You were young, and you were responsible, and you were good-hearted, and you were trying to do someone else's job for them because they refused, and you are being criticized, you're not good enough. You are having to be the man for everyone else, but you never had that man guide you. So half the time, most of the time, you're walking in the dark and you're bumping into things and you're searching and searching and searching. Finding a role model is hard. You look into other people's lives, it often looks really good until you get to know them better. But The only way I was able to rise up out of that is because of my faith in Jesus. I gave my heart to God around 22, somewhere in there, 21, 22. I can't remember the exact year. I can remember the instance extremely well, but I can't remember the exact year. I didn't. It's not like this thing happened and I said, "What's the day's date?" I didn't. So I don't remember the year. But in the pages of the Bible, if your earthly father or a grandfather and uncle isn't there, if you don't have that earthly role model to guide you into the kind of man you should be, and you're trying to become that man, you'll find all that wisdom in the pages of the Bible. That's where I found how to be a man, how to be a good man. I'm still working on me. So if you're in that situation and you're desperate and you're bitter, or you went through it, you'll find the wisdom on how to overcome it in the books of the Bible. It helps too listening to wise people. So, y'all have a good day. That's about all I got for you. God bless.